Today we have a Craftsman Platinum 700 series. It's a fairly decent little mower. The complaint on this is pretty much what we're looking at right now. It's just not starting. And oddly enough, when I had tried it right before I put it on this table, it started. Stopped it. And then I tried it again and it wouldn't start. So I don't know if it's either the bowl nut or maybe the bowl seal. But one of the two I think is the problem here, or it could even be the primer bulb. So I think we're going to take off the carb itself and just kind of take a general look and see what's going on. This one has this little extra piece right here, so I kind of like that because I don't have to take off the whole top cover. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off and bring you back. So a couple things I've noticed so far is the screw that holds this top cover in place is not the right one. Of course, you're not seeing any of this now, are you? It's also insanely long. It's starting to strip out. It does have a flat slot, so let's try a flathead. There we go. So we know that wasn't factory. What else isn't factory in here? Not horrible. I could probably just blow that out. So the person that's wanting me to fix this is actually a neighbor. They basically said, do this for as little as possible. So I'm not going to be doing like a full-on tune-up or anything. I just want to get it running halfway decent. So blowing out the air filter, I feel like that's a fairly good one. That screw's missing right there too. So we know someone's been in here before. Dirty. To be expected though. How much gas is in here? Not much, but enough for it to run. This off. There we go. Let's see here. And get a container for some gas. So I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because I'm definitely not. But I thought this would be coming a lot slower. I mean, I was just expecting people to kind of stop coming over. But, no, they still are. Bringing over their lawn equipment. Like I said, I'm not complaining. It's just kind of surprising. I mean, it's beginning of December right now. Looks pretty good. But like I said, we know someone's been in here before, so who knows. Let's take it over to the carb station. Let's take a look at the carburetor insides. A lot of that dirt is just coming off the hands, which is coming off the bowl, or coming off the top of the carb. So I don't think it's coming from the fuel, so that's good. Because like I said, it does run, just kind of hard to start. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty nice. Oh boy, but that gasket is pretty solid. So, I went over this before, and this is kind of a perfect time to go into a little detail. You see this little indentation? Actually, that could be part of the problem too. It's not very uniform. Anyway, this is a little airway passage, so when you prime it, air comes through the actual primer in here, goes all the way into that hole, then pressurizes the bowl, and that bowl then shoots fuel up into the throat of the carburetor. So when you pull on it, there's just raw fuel sitting in the throat. If anything is stopping that airflow, it can cause serious problems. You see how that is more indented than the center here? That could be a problem too. If that's the problem, 2 or 3 ways, well, okay, 3 ways of fixing it. The right way would be to get a whole new plate, put it on the right settings, continue on. What I like to do, if that's not an option, because like I said, this is going to be a cheap repair, so you can double up the gasket. And a third way is if you take some of that black RTV and you rub it right here, let it sit for like a good 10-15 minutes, just so it gets tacky, but it's definitely not very pliable. That could be shorter or longer depending on the time of year it is. Probably longer right now where I am at. But that will kind of give like more of a rubbery surface for everything to adhere to. That way it kind of makes it a little bit of a better seal. I'm probably going to do that, mainly because that's what I like to do. And also put another bowl seal on here, because this one is pretty hard. So let's take off that bowl seal. Just take the float off. Now if this was one I wanted to keep, I obviously won't be stretching it that much. I'd be willing to wager this is probably the majority of the problem. Because if the bowl isn't sealing very well because of a nasty gasket, you're not going to build up that right pressure. Or if the surface isn't very clean, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of spiffy that up a little bit and put a new one on and bring it back. Put a new seal on there, should be good to go. And I took my air compressor, blew out the jet. It looked fine, but just in case. So, what I also did is, you can't really see because it's the same color, but I put a very thin layer of that black RTV. And it's been sitting there for a little bit of time, maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I can still see it on my fingers. I don't know why I'm putting that on right now. Or without the needle. It can be kind of hard to shut off fuel when the needle's not there. There we go. Just got more on my finger. And take a towel and just kind of clean off the bowl a little bit. Inside looks perfect, but just in case. And then for good measure, I also blew out the passages in the carb just to make sure there wasn't anything in there. Like I said, it ran seemingly fine, just starting was a tad rough. I just touched it again. I have no more on there by the time I'm done. Okay. Anyway. Nice and tight. Put this back on, and I'll show you a way that you can test it without even having to turn it on. So, hopefully you can see this. If it was a plastic one, we wouldn't be able to do this, but this is a metal one, so that's good. You bend that, or just look in here. You don't really have to bend it right now, but focus. Might be as focused as we're gonna get. Now, when you press it, you should see a jump. See? Now, you know it's gonna work. Maybe that was an oversimplification. I guess I don't necessarily know it's gonna work. I'm just pretty sure it's gonna work. There's really no reason for it not to be working. It ran before, it just didn't start. And just like all good scientists, we've tried two things and they both worked. So I am totally fine with that, and let me explain why. Just because one of them is going to be the actual reason why, it doesn't mean that you can't fix both and just kind of double your insurance, you know? This is a hard one. Let's go inside, there we go. But it works. Would it have worked just the bowl gasket? Probably. Now, if the bowl gasket is bad and you just try the silicone trick or the double gasket, it won't actually work because it's still not pressurizing the bowl. However, if the bowl gasket was good and you just did the silicone or double gasket trick and it was just not getting a good flow of air, then that would work by itself. But whenever I do one, I usually try to do the other just to basically, you know, like I said, make sure that it is working. Okay, I haven't sprayed any more fuel in there, just what we did. And obviously set it down. But let's give it a yank and see if it starts up, and then we'll pull it again without priming it. If it starts up, good. If it doesn't and we push it again and it still starts up, that's still good. What we don't want to see is still having the same problem, obviously. that pretty much seals it up for me. It was one of those two issues. So it runs good now. Probably gonna pressure wash it for the person. Give them a call. I think I'm gonna lube up those cables. They're looking kind of rusty, and send it about their way. So if you have a Briggs and Stratton that has a primer bulb that's not wanting to prime, this is not like the other ones where it actually has a tank on the carburetor. It's only like this. But if you have it and you're having that problem, this is probably the solution. Could possibly be the actual primer bulb itself. Just look at the condition. If it's pretty bad, change it out. That could also be a hefty reason. Okay, if you like what you see, keep on watching. Thumbs up, that helps me out a lot, and I will see everyone later. Have a good rest of your night, and definitely subscribe.